it! I'm Elliot the Purple Hair Doofus, and this is my friend Brian.
Hello.
How's it going? And we're going to talk to you about American Gods.
One of the best books ever written. I'm a little biased. This is one of my absolute favorites. I'm excited about this.
We met up, and he was like, if you ever do American Gods, you have to tell me, because I want to work with you on that. And I was like, okay, we'll do that. So why is this one of your favorites?
This is not a light novel. Right. This is a dense novel that if you love mythology, there is so much packed into this novel. It's like reading 20 books at once, all layered on top of each other. The more interested you are in different stories and myths, the more you get out of this book.
I can see that. Like, last time we met up, you said that there's, like, websites devoted to who is who in the book.
Right.
And I was like, that is very, very intricate. I don't think I would want to get into that, but wow.
I mean, it's kind of a websites that will annotate the book and tell you where each of these references are. And then you can go look up backstories for these characters, which tell you a lot more about why they're acting the way they're acting, their own idiosyncrasies, what things to fear about them. Gaiman has really taken many different pantheons and combined them together and made them interact in this way that often has conflict to it.
Yes. I also love the kind of punny names that they had, like in the first chapter with Loki.
Yes.
And I was watching your first video that you had on chapter 1, and you had that aha moment. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes, that is brilliant. And I had that aha moment, but only after I finished recording my last video for Sam Crow.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, that's who that is.
Right. Yeah, I'm a very audio learner, so when I talk about the book, I sometimes key into, oh wait, that was a different spelling of, or a different way to say this particular god. Oh, that makes sense now. Why he screwed this person over entirely, and what was going on there.
I guess my main complaint isn't so much how dense it is, but how it is formatted. I like more breaks. And there's, like, long stretches in this book where, like, you're reading 15 pages and there hasn't been a break yet. And I'm like, ugh.
It has many different pacings to it. Right. There are areas that move very quickly, and there are areas that drag on and you just want them to end. Yes. I think it's wonderful that the author is able to create those different styles, but they are fundamentally different. It is not an action-packed comic book where you're moving at every moment. There are areas that move like that, and other areas that do drag.
Of course. What did you think of the stories between the chapters?
I liked them. They were these short little breaks where you take an interesting little piece of mythology that gives you a little bit more of an idea of what's going on in America and some of the myths that have transferred over here. They weren't essential. You could have pulled pieces of them out and still gotten the main storyline. They were kind of little pieces that I would expect to be inside of a magazine or a promotional for this that are really embedded in the book. I enjoyed them a lot, but they did add a significant amount of length that it's not a short book to start out with.
No. The only one that really clicked for me was the one about the Norse gods.
Well, it was the most on point for the book.
And it kept on being referenced throughout the rest of the stories. But all the others, I was just kind of like, why am I reading about this right now?
I don't know.
And how is this going to pay off later?
The first one, at the end of the first chapter, that's a character that you meet very early.
Yes.
That then comes back later. And when you've got that backstory, she's much more interesting.
Of course.
And lots of them have little pieces or previews to it. It was kind of this little side note of what was going on.
Was there anything that you didn't like about this?
Oh, I will admit that there's a series of scenes in the middle in a snow-based area that are very slow-moving, where it took me a long time to get through there. It causes you to get rid of insomnia and fall asleep. Like, it is not fast-moving. That particular portion is painful to read. I think it's wonderful storytelling, but I would have liked to have seen it move a little faster.
I think I already voiced my grievance.
Yes.
Do you want to tell my people about your channel and what you do on your channel?
Yes. My name is Brian Rowe, or Sart online. I've got 2 YouTube channels, one that covers gaming around Magic the Gathering, and the other one that covers anything that I'm thinking about. Books, law, history, anything I want is on the channel Sarterus, which is where I do book reviews also.
Oh, nice.
So,
I believe I linked one of your videos in one of mine when I was talking about how Shadow realized who Loki was.
Right.
So I linked the video there. But now we're going to start getting to spoiler territory. So if you haven't read this book and you want to go in spoiler free, you might want to click off now and come back later.
Dangerous waters here.
Yes. I wanted to talk about Lakeside because you just mentioned it.
Oh, yes. That is a boring community.
It is.
I grew up in Lewiston, Idaho for a little while.
Okay.
The middle of nowhere. The most slow-paced community. Everybody knows everybody, multiple generations. If you're a transplant, you're just not welcome. It reminded me a lot of that. It brought back these terrible childhood memories. It made me want to cry, and it would just never end.
The reason I liked Lakeside was the small town mystery that I was building. Mm-hmm. And then I was really frustrated because up until the end of the book, they just kind of leave you hanging.
Right.
Up until that last chapter, and it's just like, are they ever going to get back to that? Because they just leave you. And I'm just, because like there's that whole story with the kids missing.
Right.
No one knows why they're missing or what's going on, and I'm just like...
Except you know, but it's not confirmed. And
right. And it inches towards a resolution, and then it just cuts off for like the rest of the book up until that last chapter, and I'm like, why?
So outside of Shadow and Wednesday, who are your favorite characters?
I liked Chernobog.
Ah, yes.
Chernobog was probably my favorite. I hear Anansi has his own book, so I'll have to pick that up.
Anansi Boys, lots of fun, faster moving, lighter book. Nowhere near as dense as this. Wonderful book also. Different writing style, same author.
Laura was fun. Laura was fun. I liked seeing her slowly decompose.
Do you think she was or wasn't a god?
I don't think that she was a god. I think that she was just a human who accidentally got imbibed with powers from the coin. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Mr. Sweeney.
Yeah.
Sweeney was awesome.
Sweeney was super cool. Laura, I'm divided over whether she is Hela, kind of the half-dying, half-alive member of the Norse pantheon or not, but she's really there for Pup.
Right.
Her role is very different or interesting. So I'm not convinced either way there. Sweeney's fun. That guy's got personality and can drink. Like, he knows what he's doing. Like,
it was disappointing that he was only in it for like a couple chapters. I wish we would have seen him more.
Right. I would love to just see like a series of short stories, like 3 or 4 chapters of just Sweeney before this. Causing trouble, getting into bar fights and having fun. Like, lots of personality there.
Was Shadow supposed to be someone?
Oh, Balder?
Balder.
Yeah. Or son of Wednesday, possible bringer of the end of the world, has interactions with Loki.
Yeah, I can see that. I was just curious because, like, it doesn't actually say that he's a god, it just says...
Right.
And he's, like, slowly developing these powers that aren't exactly explained. Mm-hmm. I think that was another thing that I didn't like.
So I don't think he's actually Thor.
Right.
Because that's... No. Like, although he has some weather control powers.
Right.
Like, I was thinking that for a while. Right. But we never see some smiting and lightning bolts coming out of him. Or a giant hammer that he gets to wield around. Chernobog's got the monopoly on hammers.
That's another thing. Like, the old gods didn't really do a whole lot of magic. The new gods were the ones that manipulated stuff and did a whole bunch of powery stuff. And the old gods were just, like, trying to exist. And that was a little disappointing.
Yeah, there's this, like, survival mode that they've went into.
Yeah.
And Wednesday definitely screwed with people with regards to his magic. But he was one of the more proactive ones then. And Anansi could spin a yarn, tell a tale.
Yes. He could definitely tell a tale. I wanted more magic from the old gods than we actually got.
Yep.
The 2 reveals, like the end of the main story, where we find out who's working together and
who's working against,
and what they're trying to do. I thought that was brilliant, but it was just compacted so short. We have the reveal of the small town murder mystery, and that like dragged for so long, and I was like, why did he spend so much time closing this story up but not enough time closing the main story? That bugged me.
No, it's entirely different pacings.
Yes.
Very different ways to tell a story within a single book.
Right. I didn't like that it was just so short on the main story and not short enough on the other story.
I don't know. I really enjoyed the time in Egypt. So, Mr. Ibis, amazing character.
Yes. Ibis and Jackal, those are the...
Oh, yes. And Bast.
Yes.
I've got a thing for cats, though. So cats are awesome.
That whole mortuary scene was very 6 feet under.
Yes.
And I was like, that was awesome.
A little bit of morbidity. We're doing well. And
yes.
And some humor. They had a good sense of humor. So what do you think about Easter? Easter has
the-
lots of like things coming to her, but not necessarily for the right reasons.
And she doesn't really use it.
No.
Her power at all.
She's kind of content just being rich, but famous for the wrong reasons entirely. I wasn't super bitter over it. Like, I would be bitter if people were giving me homage for the wrong reason. Like, I might be a little on the spiteful side at that point. Like, no, come on, guys. That's not why you're supposed to be giving me things. I mean, thank you for all this cool stuff, but let's talk here. Like, this is the wrong reason here.
Let's calm down a bit.
Often. Yeah.
It's like that joke about the guy who builds 150 bridges, but you have sex with one goat. and like you get known as the person who has sex with the goat, but not the guy who built 150 brilliant bridges.
Yeah, reviewing the goats.
And it was weird because she also kind of embraced it.
Yes.
Because when she visits Shadow after his vigil, she gives him an egg rather than a coin, and he's really disappointed. And it's just like, why would you embrace that? Why would you...
Well, I think the eggs predate. Like, the eggs don't make sense in the Christian mythology. Like, why are we giving eggs on this Christian holiday? Because it's a pagan holiday. Like, let's not even hide it. So I think that's her thing.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
if it had been Jackal who had visited, I mean, it would have been something else. Maybe a canoptic jar for his organ. It's over at that point. Like, but that's very her. Like, she's embracing her mythology.
I did love that in the Jackal and Ibis pairing, when they sat down to dinner, and how Jackal just ate the organs of the bodies that they were already putting in, and I was like,
Yep.
that was brilliant.
That's him. I think if I was going to be somebody in that particular pantheon dealing with those things, like, Horus went nuts. And I would have a hard time dealing with people just ignoring me. That might be where I am. So, pay attention to me. A little bit of crazy goes a long way for dealing with the world.
Like, some of the new gods, you just saw them for a second,
Yes.
and then they just went away. Like Therapy. Therapy was in there for like 1 second, I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then, like...
Yeah, that could be an awesome character.
Yeah, because I really liked how she just kind of came in, and she was like, and how does that make you feel? And then she was gone.
Although Media's got to be the creepiest.
Oh, Media was super creepy.
Super stalker-ish. Like,
wow.
not someone to date. You got to stay away from her.
And I was definitely picking up on the whole Shadow has powers vibe, like, really early on. Not because of the whole Snow situation during the bank robbery, but during the media, and then we're just instantly clamoring to him and being like,
Right.
be on our side. Oh, this guy's
He
got
was
power.
clearly an important bishop or something, not a mere pawn, not a mere bodyguard early on. But I think Shadow was well written in that he didn't deal with that very well. He wasn't the first to come to terms with his power.
No.
Like, he's still living in the land of mortals while he is one of the immortals.
And he doesn't even really realize it until it's revealed that Odin's his father.
Right. It really plays well for the humanization of the gods as aspects of human nature. That they're things that we bring to this world and that we manifest and then turn into these stories and myths.
Right. I loved the Zoria sisters. They were awesome.
Yep.
I especially loved the, how do you say her name? Polina?
Oh, I'm terrible at pronunciation.
The nocturnal one. We'll just put it that way. I liked her because, like, I'm nocturnal, and it's just like, she had this kind of slow movement to her that was just very beautiful. Especially when she, like, pulls the moon from the sky and gives it to him. I was like, that's just brilliant. And the coins thing. Okay, so the coins are like this, like, throughout the book, Shadow is obsessed with coin tricks. Do you think that lends to his power, or is it more of his humanity?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Because the two really sacred objects that he's given in the book are both coins. So they're the sun and the moon, neither of which he fully realizes at the time, but later does. I think that it's his way of trying to find magic in the world, but it's very controlled.
Yes.
And later, that just breaks down when he runs into Sweeney.
Oh, of course.
So,
are you talking about right before Sweeney?
Well, Sweeney just blows him away with actual magic.
Right.
Which he then gets toasted and starts to do and then forgets about later, or at least blocks out. I think he's actually in denial for a period of time there about his ability to do magic also. It's like, yeah, I just can't think about that because that means there's something else with me and we're just not going to talk about it.
I don't want to be that right now.
But I think it is his way of trying to embrace a piece of his nature and enjoy it there and try to give it a logical backstory.
Yes. I just thought it was like him trying to get to his human side because he had it even back when he was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a way to show that he had a coping mechanism. Mm-hmm. And it was his coping mechanism. And then when it turned magic, it just kind of, like, broke his coping mechanism. It's just like, what am I going to do now?
Right. Now, how do you feel about him living?
Being alive after all of that?
Yeah. I mean, he died, and he should have died again. Like, he lost the first chess game.
Yes.
I would have felt good if he had, like, smash, gone, forehead, nothing else. Like,
right. That was...
I think people would have been a little sadder about the book than that. But I felt like he should have died.
That was a little sad to me, because it was just like, he goes up, and he's like, Trinidad's like, boop, and I was like...
you came on the wrong day. If you'd come yesterday, you would have been toast.
You would have been dead. Especially after he did choose to be dead.
Right.
And then, like,
so
people
he's
brought him
chosen
back.
Twice to be dead, and he just won't die.
The other incredibly sad moment was the very, very end, when he meets the new body for Odin, and Odin doesn't recognize him.
Is that the new body, or is that the old world Odin? I saw that as the old world Odin.
Oh, okay.
Because he's visiting at that point somewhere in Scandinavia. I don't remember exactly where.
It's like Reykjavik or something like that.
I think it's a different Odin. Like there's a Odin of the traditional Norse homeland, and then there's the Odin of the Americas that was brought over here and manifest by the followers here. But they're two different gods. Because related, like friends.
I thought he, like, mentioned that someone had sat vigil for him.
Right. I think they're the same but different.
Oh, okay.
Which I think can be allowed in mythology, just not in science. I think you can have two Odins, and sitting for either of them is sitting for Odin. But they're different.
Okay. That makes sense.
Which makes me think that you could do a wonderful novel about the Egyptian gods in Egypt at this point. Like, a very different story, a very different feeling.
Which Egypt?
No, the actual North African Egypt.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that was another really cool thing.
Oh, yeah.
They tell him to go to Egypt, and he's like, I can't walk to Egypt. And then he finds out that there's, like, a little Egypt in Louisiana, I think it was. It's just like, that's awesome.
Now, I've heard of people doing, like, road trips with this book and trying to find some of the different locations.
Yes.
Some of them were clearly outlined and others were rather obscure, and there's questions over which one they are. I think that's fascinating.
Right.
This traveling through the U.S., as Neil did when he wrote this, is just a wonderful way to embrace the area, bring the story to life.
That was another thing. It took me a while to realize that it was just Neil telling his story of going across America, because all of the characters would only eat in diners. There was only one scene where anyone had a home-cooked meal. And I was like...
Yeah, this is just Neil's road trip, and he's talking about what happened on his road trip, and man, this guy's got a crazy cool imagination. If my road trips were like this, I would like driving.
And I'm wondering, what was that one night like where he had the spaghetti dinner with his neighbors?
Somewhere there in the South where people are really friendly and they actually invite you to their home.
Right?
Like, that happens.
The other thing that bugged me, also at the end, was when Shadow tried to hit on Crow. Mm-hmm. I was like, didn't he realize that she was a lesbian? And then, like, he goes and he tries to hit on her, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't fit into this at all.
I like Shadow a lot.
Right.
He's not the quickest guy all the time.
I guess.
So...
But I could have swore, like, it was beaten into his head at the dinner. Like, when he was taking her away, and the sister was like, you know nothing's gonna happen.
We all make mistakes when it comes to relationships. I'm gonna be the last one to throw a stone here. Might have made some mistakes myself occasionally. So
True. But I'm just like...
He's very human.
That's true. It did make him human. And that's another thing that I really liked about him, was he wasn't, like, all-powerful.
Yeah. Well, none of these gods are all-knowing.
Yes.
They all have their flaws. They have their blind spots. These gods are multifaceted. They remind me a lot more of a Miyazaki character than a omnipotent, all-powerful. Right.
I like that the gods were not all-powerful. And I like that the last thing that bugged me, Odin was slowly building to becoming an evil character right before he died. And it really bugged me that it just kind of cuts off before he gets shot. Because he's building all this rage because all of the gods won't join him. And it's explained later. But, like, that point where he gets shot, I was really pissed.
So he's a really kind of a character of chaos and strife and conflict. And dying in battle... Dying during a conflict is the ultimate.
Right.
So he doesn't want everyone to be on his side or even against him. He wants the battle. And he wants to go down in a blaze of glory and take as many of the other gods with him as possible.
I guess I was just really irritated because, like, the whole time building up to that, we're like, Odin's this kind of good guy. And then, like, he's slowly letting the evil seep out. And I'm just like, come on, build more, build more, build more. And then it's just, like, gone. And I was like, no!
You wanted him to reach his evil apex.
Yes!
You wanted him to become the dark side.
Exactly! I wanted his powers to be, like, unmanageable and be like, God.
I felt like he's one of those charismatic friends that when you first meet them, they're awesome.
Right.
They're amazing. And then you start to see behind the curtain, slowly but surely, and you're like, oh, wait, they're broken.
Like that scene where Shadow breaks his rift.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it snaps inside of him, and I was like, come on, do more with this, please.
Yes, yeah.
So those are the only things that really bugged me, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. But overall, it's a great book. It's a great read. It's just those parts that I had to sludge through that kind of knocked it below a 4 for me. And I was like, I can't do it. The fact that it like would take me so long to read the 60 pages or so for the daily vlog.
See, and what really puts it above a 4.5 for me is the amount of depth that Neil puts into it with references. If you love mythology, you're going to love this book.
Of course.
If you don't like mythology, it's going to be a little bit rougher because you're not going to understand why people are doing what they're doing and what's going on. But it is an opportunity to get introduced to that mythology and then go read some other stuff with these characters because he takes wonderfully classic characters and does cool things with them.
Yes. Are there any books that you would recommend for people who like this book?
That's a really good question. This book is so unique. I've tried some other books that try to do the same thing, and I don't have one that I can strongly recommend. If you like the references, his graphic novel, Sandman, especially after you get past the first 10 or so issues, is beautiful. It's a 100-issue series plus some side stories that are just great. Once you get after the first few issues, he's got a lot more leeway from DC, who was publishing it at the time, to do whatever he wanted, and it feels less superhero-y and more mythological like this. It has some beautiful stories in it. I would definitely recommend checking out Sandman. There's a beautiful Ultimate Absolute Sandman leather-bound edition, and there's some very affordable trade paperback editions available for it.
For me, not so much on the Norse god side or anything like that, but like I read fiction like this to kind of learn about this sort of stuff because I went in knowing nothing about Norse gods or most of these gods. And so there's another book out there that's more about religion rather than just the gods themselves, and it's called Lamb, the Gospel According to Biff, Christ's Childhood Pal, by Christopher Moore. And I learned a lot about religion itself because basically it's Christ's childhood years that are left out of the Bible, and he has this smart aleck best friend named Biff. And they're going around and they're learning about all of the different religions before Christ decides on which one he wants to be.
Interesting idea. Interesting premise for a book.
Yeah, it's really well told. It's probably one of his more popular books too. Guess that's all we have. Don't forget to check out Brian on his channel. And I will be reading The Indisputable Existence of Santa Claus by Dr. Hannah Fry and Dr. Thomas... I'm going to screw up his name again. Oleron Evans.
And I'm currently reading Born a Crime by Trevor Noah, the current host of The Daily Show.
Very awesome.
Wonderfully fun book.
Yes. And we will see you all in our next videos. Toodles!
Take care. Choose your books wisely.